Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the new week. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. I am Dan from Trading with Dan. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So yeah, Bitcoin on the 4-hour still in our range. I say back, we were out of this range here whilst we were below this resistance area, or below this support now we'll call it. So yeah, we broke back above. We had a bit of an ascending triangle on this shorter time frame. Had a nice break up towards the upper level of our range. Swiftly rejected on a 4-hour 9, coming back down on a 4-hour 9 by 9 now. So like, yeah, let's hope we can even if we get some wicks into this support area, let's hope we put in what would be a higher low around here relative to these lows, and then obviously go for a higher high relative to this high and obviously this high, at which point, yeah, it could take us above this resistance area, and then yeah, we could be seeing anywhere in the zone up to around this $26,000 level. So that is obviously the bullish case. The bearish case is we lose this resistance, lose this support, and then more notably, if we lose these lows here as well, then yes, we will, I think we'll be looking at around 16,000, mid 16,000s as a target in that scenario. We have got CPI coming out this week, so we have got a major market mover on the cards. If we look at the stock market as well, these futures, yeah, you can see we're above this level here. Didn't make a high relative to this high, so kind of a tightening formation. Obviously we've got higher lows and then we've got this lower high, so yeah, looking for this to break in a direction, but obviously we are within this range here, as we can see. So the most notable areas will be this low, obviously this support area and this resistance. Get above here, obviously will be good times. Get below here, we'll be looking at Goblin Town again. DXY just putting the squeeze on. This is going to literally just collapse world markets. The US is experiencing high inflation even in the face of a massively strengthening currency relative to other currencies. So they're not going to be in a hurry to weaken this whilst they still have high inflation, because this is obviously helping offset some of it. If the dollar was coming down and was weaker, then that would equate to higher inflation numbers. So as soon as inflation calms down, we will probably see a swift turnaround in this dollar. We'll probably see some sort of just some sorts of, I don't even know what kind of they'll be, but some sorts of interventions. Ultimately, we're going to have a plaza style scenario where we're going to have to structurally weaken the dollar if it wants to remain of any influence. Because if it keeps doing this, people are just going to have to find other things to use to transact with, to have debt in, to use as a reserve asset, just because this is basically indicating the fact that there are not enough dollars in the system. So if there aren't enough of them, then you're gonna struggle, really, aren't you? So yes. What else do you want to look at here? Yeah, the 10-year is back above 3%, as you can see, but are we going to put in a lower high, a lower high here, and then come back down again? All I will say is this does look very much like a descending broadening wedge, and a descending broadening wedge is statistically a bullish scenario, a bullish pattern, although you can maybe even argue we've broken above it already. We're going to come and back test and break on towards the upside, but you can kind of see what I'm looking at. Descending broadening wedge, so could have another leg up. I do think any legs up towards 3.5-4%, and then that is it for the markets. We are done and dusted out here. Finance 1.0 is gonna severely struggle. Shift coin on its rear end all the way down here. So yes, Peter Schiff can just gloat at crypto all he wants, but we know what we're doing in crypto. It is a highly volatile, highly risky asset, and anyone involved for any reasonable period of time will probably have massive gains, way more gains than gonna ever have made in this asset. I mean, this asset is doing appalling to say this is the real risk-off asset, the real risk-off, the real inflation hedge. Just absolute goblin town. So yes, oil is actually, funnily enough, printing out a similar pattern to the 10-year yield. But yeah, is it going to put in a low R here, coming fully in foot? Well, if you take out this low, guys, then that is going to be it. We are going to hit down in towards these 60 handles most likely. But yeah, at present though, we can give it the benefit of the doubt. Remember, everyone is bullish in this. All the guys that think they're really smart are looking at the structural supply, well, the structural supply issues, and obviously that saying that's going to equate to higher prices. But I mean, if we have a recession, if we have a depression, if basically spending is curbed, then there will be severe demand destruction for this, and there's only so high it can realistically go. Sorry, there's only so high it can realistically go before demand destruction happens anyway. What I will say though is one thing I think a lot of people miss regarding the consumer specifically. Obviously, oil is an input to everything and is used. More oil is used by obviously everybody else than just consumers putting in their car, but obviously petrol prices and what people put in their car. Petrol car, basically what I'm trying to say is cars are getting much more efficient over the years. So if you try and look back at like when we had that massive spike in oil that caused the recession, when it went to $147 a barrel, cars were way more, on the whole, on average, way more inefficient back then. So obviously that did equate to a lot higher price, plus inflation as well. So we're not really actually that high compared to where we have been for the consumer and their sorry about that. And they're putting petrol in their car. Obviously, it is an input into everything else as well. But I'm just talking about the squeeze on consumers. That particular aspect. Of it. There was something else I wanted to say about that, but I can't remember what it is now. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was it. There was this whole thing about this whole thing about having to export oil to China, oil coming out of the SPR and going to China. What I will say about that is, though, whilst it sounds like a bad headline, basically the bottleneck is in the refining. Is in the refineries and the refining of the oil into the distillates, the things that people use, the petrol and everything. So that was just excess oil. That is also why the price is coming down, because it doesn't really matter. If you have more oil coming to the market, it's just then going to get sold if people can't buy it to refine it, because we're at max refining capabilities. So yeah, there are lots of aspects to these markets. Let's just have a look at Dr. Copper. Obviously Dr. Copper, called Dr. Copper because it's meant to be more intelligent than everyone else, meant to predict what's really going on. As you can see, diving down here, this ultimately will become a very good buy, and will probably go on a massive run, because we are, I mean, as asinine as it potentially is, or as badly as the execution is, we are going to move towards electric vehicles and renewables and all that on green energy and all that cool stuff. And there is going to be a massive demand on copper for wiring of these said vehicles and all the other kind of electrical stuff that's going to go on from that. So copper is going to go on a big run. I think what is happening here is a lot of it's China related, with China just playing silly games with the pandemic still. I mean, we're all over that everywhere else, but apart from China, because I guess it's just it's a good way for them to control their population, whilst they probably know that there's some bad times coming. So yeah, let's quickly look at Ethereum USD. Maybe putting in an ascending triangle here could be a nice breakup then towards the 1800 level. Fingers crossed. The Ethereum Satoshi pairing, yeah, just there or thereabouts. Hard to call whether this is bullish or bearish, because I mean, it could just be a nice bear flag and have another leg down, or it could be trying to put in an ascending triangle sort of itself on its own. Bitcoin dominance, yeah, rejected by this important level. And yeah, so I guess basically we're waiting for either break above here or break below there. What else? Not much else. Let's look at some stochastics, because we must know some of these larger time frame stochastics are going to starting to be looking good here. 4 hour pretty low here and could turn up, so at least in the short term that could give us a bit of help. 10 hour though, diving. 12 hour freshly turned over. Daily there, I mean, is gonna potentially turn back down. Buy daily though, looking very good. Looking good, not looking very good, looking good. 3 day actually looking to turn back down here. 5 day turned up though, so this obviously could give us a significant run up on this 5 daily. And then weekly ultimately will feed through from the 5 daily if we do see some nice bullish, well, even just up to around that 23,000. This will ultimately turn up. We can have the 5 day weekly turning up. I mean, again, feed through to the bi-weekly and ultimately eventually the monthly, but I wouldn't wait for the monthly to turn. But yeah, if we basically can hold around these levels where we are, not take out this low, or if we do not take out 16.5-ish area, bounce around this area for the next few weeks, maybe even month, maybe even 2 months, it will look very good for a bottom. These larger time frame stochastics will turn back around, and then we could look for a very significant bounce that ultimately could lead to new all-time highs. So there's the hopium. So yeah, that is it, guys. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.